On this episode of the Make Ideas Reality podcast.
I've come off so much worse than this already. I don't know who was sort of thinking.
I'm loving this intro.
It was the only one I could find that was funny to rhyme with drummer.
They needed content and they were doing a little bit in-house, but they just said they wanted to bring some people in who they thought had a good sort of chemistry or on-screen presence and stuff like that. They weren't particularly looking for a huge influence because they work with a few other influencers as well, sort of April Wilkinson, Matt Cremona. So they have their sort of big influencers, but they just wanted some people to come in, I suppose, that were a bit smaller and they could grow with them.
We're trying to do this whole making for good, and we're trying to make sure that the things that we do are wholesome and they're beneficial to just more than ourselves. So whether that be like an environmental thing or whether that be physically raising money for people or doing things for other people.
The bath's running, just sit on the edge and have a poo in the bath.
Hello and welcome to Make Ideas Reality, the podcast. This is a podcast dedicated to everyday creative heroes making their ideas reality that wouldn't necessarily get their story heard. I hope to inspire you with their stories, give you courage to leave your comfort zone, think big, and be the badass creator you are meant to be. I'm Justin White, aka the Garage Avenger. Let's do this! You guys do have the same mum, right?
Yeah.
Hello and welcome to the Make Ideas Reality podcast. Today's guests are brothers from the same mother. Matt, the bionicle man of Bournemouth, and Jonny, the drummer who's slightly dumber. Together, they become an irresistible combination. With project... I need to switch your video off, man.
I've come off so much worse than this already. I don't know who was sort of thinking.
I'm loving this intro.
Oh, strike one.
Johnny's just gonna leave.
It was the only one I could find that was funny to rhyme with drummer.
Probably accurate to be fair.
Oh, God. Should, I'm gonna have to start the intro again.
I can't wait to hear it again. I'm excited.
All right. Yeah. Today's guests are brothers from the same mother. Matt, the bionicle man of fuck, man. Oh my god. Oh shit. All right, here we go. This is actually, it's not that bad. It's just the dumber bit. That's
Yeah.
all right.
I'll keep my composure this time.
Oh, good. Today's guests are brothers from the same mother. Matt, the bionicle man of Bournemouth, and Jonny, the drummer who's slightly dumber. Together, they become an irresistible combination. With projects rich in HDPE and an ethos of charity. Welcome to the show, Matt and Jonny from Brothers Make. I got
Hey,
Justin.
there.
You did it.
Oh, yes.
In future, if you can just run these intro by us first, I'd just like to, just sign off before that goes live.
There was another guest that didn't like the fact that I was going to surprise him with the intro. So I said, I just told him to bugger off. Like, that's how I roll. This is how this podcast rolls, guys. So you just deal with it.
All right.
But the funny thing is, I think it's the opposite, just so you know. Sorry, Matt.
Brilliant. Hey, I agree with whatever goes live on the podcast. That's what I agree with.
To be fair, I'm probably just getting upset about it because it's probably true. So I'll take that.
All right, so I didn't know you guys till I was cruising around the aisles of, what do you call it? Aisles? No. Yeah, I don't know. Just cruising around Makers Central. And I saw you guys. We got talking. and
One
I
thing
was
led to another.
Yeah, I mean, I was laughing a little bit because I thought your logo looked a little bit like conjoined twins in a bikini, and I was,
That's what everyone says.
and I was then you guys were also like giving me shit over something I said wrong. I think I was saying, what
It
did
does
I
sound
say?
like us.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I was saying, instead of saying taking the piss, I was saying pulling the piss, because that's something sometimes we say.
Oh yeah.
I don't know. It's something I grew up with, and you guys just you guys lost it like right now.
I know.
The problem is that you can't combine any like strange way of saying something with alcohol, and then we're just going to lose it for the rest of the night. Like, that's us done. Like, there's no way we're going to be able to hold that in.
I got annihilated by you guys that night, so it was pretty
Well,
fun.
but by the end of the weekend, I remember you had the third brother of Brothers Make on the underside of your cap.
Yeah, well,
Yeah.
I was like, oh great, now we've got to invite this guy around to do videos with us.
yeah, because I had the rally flip cap, which you could write things on and then close.
That was it. Yeah, you kept changing the message, didn't you?
Yeah,
dope.
I think I wrote also like I'm the real Colin Firth or something.
That was it.
Stood next to him, and he didn't know he didn't know what was written on the cap, and then he's turned. He was like, "What?" So
that's hilarious.
But to be honest, though, I saw through. You guys have this really cool bravado, and but I saw through it. You guys were just great guys, and I've been watching since Maker Central, and I've watched you guys grow. I've seen like some really good videos that you guys have produced go really, really well, and I've seen some really good videos that you produced just do poorly. And it's just compared
That's
to
YouTube, man.
compared to yeah, exactly. So, and I just love I've been loving watching your journey so far. So, talking about
Thank you,
journey
man.
though, like let's go back to where it all started. I thought I'd start a little bit with you, Matt. And why don't you tell the people a little bit about your journey and where it all started and how you got into making and then creating Brothers Make and doing projects with your brother.
Okay, cool. So for me, I've been like interested in it from quite a young age. We kind of always tell the story where we were when we were younger. I'm 4 years older than Jonny, but we always used to kind of hang out together making bows and arrows and axes out of logs and twigs and stuff in the garden. When we got into kind of school age, I kind of took all those type of subjects in school, and then I went on to A levels and did the same kind of thing. So I was kind of broadening my interest a lot, and when I was kind of 14 or 15, I always used to ask for tools for my birthday. So a lot of some of the tools we use now in the workshop are like tools which are like nearly 20 years old now, which is quite fun. And yeah, just always kind of having that interest in building upon it, whenever I could. After I finished my school, I kind of decided I kind of keep changing my mind about things, and I ended up training to become a mechanical engineer. And then kind of partway through that, I kind of was missing a little bit of the spark of creativity, and I studied architecture at university for 5 years. And then kind of one thing led to another, and I ended up keep changing my mind. And nowadays I teach, and I absolutely love my decision to become a teacher. I get a lot of questions from parents at parents' evening or anything like that, and they say, "Oh, if you went into architecture and engineering, why did you choose this?" I think you get that people outside of teaching kind of use that expression, if you can't, then teach, which mildly insulting. And I think that I do it because I really, really enjoy it, and I'm allowed to kind of bring my making into my job, which is a big part of what I'm about. I really like doing things because I like doing them. And then we kind of started Brothers Make because we basically wanted an excuse to hang out more. Jonny was working a pretty solid 5-day week, and I was working a pretty solid 5-day week, and basically didn't really get to hang out that much. I mean, we obviously family dues and bashes and stuff like that, and we lived fairly close to each other. So we just started, we renovated the workshop first, didn't we, John? We did We
set
kind of
up a few palette projects, didn't we, for my bedroom or
that's
something
it.
like that?
Yeah. This is before we set up an Instagram, I think, didn't we? And we put a few projects on there, but did a few things with palette wood just because it's like accessible and stuff like that. And then we decided to redo the workshop, so new floor, new walls, and stuff like that. And then from there, we just thought, let's chuck a few things up on YouTube. And the first video that we produced went live the day before we went to Maker Central 2018, which was the first Maker Central. So we officially went to Maker Central, and we were hanging out the YouTuber area, and we were like, well, we have one video. Are we allowed to be in here? Felt a little bit uneasy, but everyone was incredibly supportive, as the Maker community is. And since then we've just been growing each year and just trying to put more stuff out and kind of finding our direction and finding our voice in the community. But yeah, just been a really exciting journey for us, really.
And what about you, Jonny?
For me, in terms of, I was slightly different. Well, obviously, like Matt said, we used to make a lot as kids, and I still have. I was just clearing it out the other day, actually. Like my shed at my parents' house, we had that was my armory, and literally it was like a massive shed. It was all lined with all our weapons. Like all my mates were always like, if there's ever a zombie apocalypse, they're just heading straight to the armory. There was literally everything. I found like an old mace, like some nunchucks in there, a crossbow. We made so much stuff. But then after that, I didn't take it as much like sort of a career direction like Matt did. I focused more on music. So I went and did music at uni, and then a few bands and stuff on the side. But then after a few years, I did a degree for a year in music, and then thought, to be fair, I don't really need a degree to be a drummer. So I zapped it off and thought I'm going to have a look at what I actually want to do. So then I ended up doing a degree in sort of marketing and business. So then now I work in an advertising agency. So I'm doing things, like anything from we go out sort of on, on shoots, filming ads, or doing some social stuff, or doing more like, I don't know, web design, that kind of thing. So that's where Brothers Make sort of came about, is because we wanted to sort of combine both of our jobs in a way. So for Matt's making every day at work, and I'm doing more like a digital thing. We thought the natural accumulation of those two together is sort of a YouTube channel and some sort of social media channels around it. So so they sort of came about, and it's a really nice way to, because I'm not making in my job. It's a really nice way to have some sort of like, I don't know, I love making, and Matt's obviously much better than I am, but it's been a nice way it's been a nice way in the last sort of few years for me to pick it back up again, because I sort of stopped. I did it from about 8 to like 13, 14, then I stopped for a few years. And then the last 5 years, it's been nice to sort of do it again, and it's a nice way for me and Matt to, like I said, hang out more.
Yeah, you guys spending a lot more time together as a family, though, because of that, you guys spend more time, your kids and your wives and girlfriends all together, yeah, or not?
Yeah, a lot actually. We tend to hang out all the time because we have Mondays, and we'll get onto it a bit later in terms of how our time is broken down. But we have Mondays. We're in the shop from 9 a.m. till about midnight, 1 in the morning. So we have that whole day together, and then naturally around that, like I get to see Matt has 2 little kids and stuff like that, so we hang out with them a lot more. And then our other halves, we all hang out as a four quite a lot. We hang out the other day, so it's a really good little balance actually.
Well, let's just go straight into that. Like me personally, like I find that the balance of doing what I do, the challenge of balancing family, kids, work, and then what I do in the garage plus the podcast. Like right now, my kids are on a trip to a cabin somewhere, and I said I have to work, but I'm working on garage stuff and podcast stuff right now, and it's something that I find challenging, because I would love to spend the time with the family, but I also know that I have these like inner goals that I want to work on, and I need to use that time that I can get to work on that. How do you guys deal with it? What are your sort of work routines, and dealing with the family and balancing it all? How do you guys do it?
It's a little, obviously at the moment it's a little bit different. We're still at the tail end of this COVID pandemic, so things have been a bit different recently. But before, like the way that the routine was set up is that we have are Mondays, which Jonny mentioned, where we spend basically the whole day in the workshop. I work 3 days, so I drop down to 3 days a week teaching, and Jonny does 4 days a week in his marketing job. So typically weekends will always be spent kind of family time, seeing each other or parents or everyone together. And then our Mondays obviously be workshop time. So I'm working 3 days a week, and then on Thursdays I get a chance to be with my kids and my wife a bit more, which is really nice. At the moment, obviously, because it's been this situation where everyone's kind of not sure whether they're working or half working. My medical history, which we might come on to a bit later. I have a history where I'm kind of a more at-risk person, so I've not been working, and my school have been brilliant and just said, you guys, you just stay home and you keep yourself and your family safe. So we've been isolated for basically the entire time of the pandemic, which so I've been able to do my teaching from home. The one thing that's been suffering, well, not suffering, but the one thing that we haven't been able to do is me and Jonny aren't able to basically hang out. So we've not been able to do our normal routine. Jonny's not able to self-isolate himself because of work and other things like that. So our routine's been a little bit different because none of us have been working. So I've been able to do more making, and Jonny's been editing a lot of videos, but it's very different to kind of work out how we balance our time effectively and stuff like that. But it's been a challenge, and I think we've still been getting videos out, and if anything, we've been getting them out more frequently. It just means that we've not been getting them out in the same style, so we don't have any interaction on camera, we don't have any voiceovers and stuff like that, which is a shame because that's eventually that's where we want to take our channel. But yeah, it's just like you said, it's a balance of time, isn't it? You've got to keep everything safe, but also make sure that you put enough time into it. Obviously, if I spend all day every day in the workshop, I'm not going to see my wife and kids. So my wife is incredibly supportive, and she's very proud of what we've grown and what we've created, and to where we are now from even like a couple of years ago. She's very, very supportive. So yeah, I couldn't do it without her. And yeah, just so having supportive people around you that support your dreams and your goals, I think is makes the difference between being able to achieve it and not being able to achieve it.
What about you, Jonny?
So yeah, I was just about to say, because it's just to clarify, if people who haven't sort of heard of us and things like that, but basically we work alongside Triton Tools as well. So that's what's allowed us to go down to a sort of reduced working week. So on a Monday, the 9 till 5:30 section of the day, we actually are working for Triton, and then from 5:30 to about 1 a.m. we're working for doing our own channel content. But that opportunity has obviously meant that we can go down to a 4-day week and a 3-day week, and so that is an awesome sort of thing we've been able to do, and that's what I said. It allows us to have that reduced week, and now I've gone down to a 4-day working week. I don't think I could ever do 5 days again. I love my 4-day working week; it's so much better. Not everyone can do their own thing, but I just like it. For me, it's better because it's nice just having a day. Because although I'm working, it's a very long day on that Monday. It doesn't feel like work. It's just me and my brother in a room, nobbing about, being loud and
sticking around in a workshop.
Yeah, having a few barbecues and stuff. So that doesn't feel like work at all. And then I try and balance it because, like I said earlier, I'm in a few bands. I'm in 3 bands at the moment. And then I obviously have my partner. She has a little boy. So there's quite a lot of stuff to balance, really. And because I've sort of, the benefit of having all the different things is that I'm doing all these different things that I love doing, like my music and the workshop. There's all these things that I love doing, but the payoff for that is that I don't really have any free time. But I've just figured while I'm at a place in my life that I don't need to have loads of free time, and while I'm happy to keep going at 100%, I'll do it for now. Once I sort of inevitably burn out, I'll probably have to start cutting things down. But for the time being, it's just, I don't know, I've got a lot of my friends who always say they haven't got time for stuff, and I suppose it's all relative, really, because technically we'll have the same amount of time. And at the moment, I'm just sort of quite happy to fill it as much as possible, really.
Yeah, so Jonny, trying to balance being a drummer, I can imagine too, like 3 different bands trying to pull you each direction. Maybe you're doing gigs, you need to do practice. Plus, you got your brother pulling you one way as well, and then the family. And then same for you, Matt, like you've got family needing time for you, your work needs time with you. You got probably also students that really perhaps need a lot of extra effort you need to spend on them, depending on the kid, right? It's a huge balancing act, and I admire actually you guys how you're doing it, because like I know, like I mentioned before, I have my struggle, trying to balance it all. It's bloody hard work. So
yeah, for sure.
but you mentioned Triton, and I kind of want to lean into that a little bit, because sponsorship is kind of like a weird thing in the YouTube maker community. It's like people think it's this thing that's hard to get, or you have to be like of a certain pedigree, or subscriber number or whatever, right, to have that. But that's not quite the truth, is it?
Yeah, so I mean, yeah, it's an absolutely, because we had the same sort of thoughts as well. I thought it was going to be years before we got any sort of deal with any sort of brands, because most of the sponsorships you see, they're looking for the sort of big influencers. But yeah, I think when we started with Triton, we were about 3,000 subs. So it's obviously it's nowhere near the whole sort of like 500,000 subscribers you see with a lot of these makers. But it just came about. I think we were doing, it was like our 1,000 subscriber giveaway we were doing. So we messaged a few brands out there saying, we're doing a giveaway. Just wondering if you wanted to like chuck anything in for a surprise. And a few came back, including Triton. They were like, yeah, great. But I guess that got them seeing our channel. And they messaged us like a month or two later, just saying, we're just wondering if you'd like to, we really like the channel. And we're just wondering if you'd want to do some videos over Christmas if we come down with the sort of our filming team. And then if you make sort of Christmas-related projects in one evening, we'll just try and bash through sort of 2 or 3 for their channels. We were like, yeah, that'd be awesome. So they came down. We sort of spent a couple of evenings in the workshop, in our tiny little 16:9 workshop with like 5 or 6 of us in there. But it's really cool. We had the videos are on our channel as well. So if you go back, you can see. But we just made some really small little projects with them. That was really good fun. And then like a couple of months later, again, they sort of just got in contact and said, if you wanted to like come up to the office and just have a chat, we've got a sort of idea we want to run past you. So yeah, they basically they wanted to know that they wanted to ask what we'd need from them to be able to actually sort of devote an amount of time, because they needed content, and they were doing a little bit in house, but they just said they wanted to bring some people in who they thought had a good sort of chemistry or on-screen presence and stuff like that. They weren't particularly looking for a huge influence, because they work with a few other influencers as well, sort of April Wilkinson, Matt Cremona. So they have their sort of big influencers, but they just wanted some people to come in, I suppose, that were a bit smaller and they could grow with them and sort of do just some content for them. So we just said that basically we'd love to do it, but the only thing we're lacking is time, because we had, at that point, we were doing one evening a week. So it was we started at about 7 in the evening once we finished work and went through till sort of 2, 3, 4 a.m. when we were starting work again the next day at 8. But we said that that's the only thing, we'd love to do it, but we don't have any time. So they were like, okay, well, what about if we can pay you for a day's work a week, basically? So luckily, I don't know how, because we're quite jammy, because I think a lot of companies wouldn't do it, but both of our jobs allowed us to Matt down to 3 days a week, and then myself down to 4. So we both got down to, so we both have our Mondays now. Like I said earlier, we said sort of the 9 to 5:30 is that's just creating content purely for their channel. And it's great. It's really, like I said, we're very grateful to them, because it's a really nice opportunity to, one, us put that balance into our life there, where neither of us have to work 5-day weeks. And the week just, as soon as it's not a 5-day week, the week flies by. In a good, like, in terms of like, I used to get a bit, by Wednesday, Thursday, it's going on a bit. But now, like, 4-day weeks, I love it. It's so good. So it's awesome that we have that opportunity now. And as much as there's certain things that come about it, like it's a little bit harder for me to progress career-wise because of it, because I'm doing those 4 days a week, and there's sort of a lot of other people that will do 5 days a week. But for me, it's more than just what you're getting paid from it, if you know what I mean. That's a huge benefit for me, because I can have this whole, it's sort of a bonus that sits outside of sort of a monetary value, if you know what I mean. It's it's something that it's just really worthwhile doing. And it means for me, I'm just getting this awesome opportunity that I don't have to work. I don't have to, spleen myself dry working in an office 5 days a week. And I get to just spend one of those days, just like I said, hanging out with my brother, knobbing about.
It's also a case of like, a lot of makers, regardless of whether your dream is to be a full-time maker or a part-time maker or just a hobby or whatever, it's also given us a chance to it's like a stepping stone for us. It's like giving us a safety net where we can basically become part-time content creators, YouTubers, whatever you want to call it. And we've got that safety net because we're still getting obviously getting paid for it. We can still do our hours, build our channel with a brand who is helping to boost our numbers, as well as we're creating content for them. So it's a very kind of mutually beneficial relationship with Triton. But it's given us this. I think a lot of people are like, oh, I want to be a full-time maker, but there's just it's very difficult to jump into being a YouTuber or Instagram maker or whatever, and get paid that will be enough to replace your job. Most never get to that point. And we probably won't. That's not necessarily what our goal is, but it's given us a chance to basically test the waters and say, right, we can really push this now for a full day every single week, and still have the safety net where we don't have to worry about not providing enough money for our families and stuff like that. So it's been a really nice way of not having to make that huge leap of faith. We've been able to kind of step down halfway and be like, oh, okay, we can do this, and then maybe in the future we can push it further. Maybe we continue with this. It's just given us a bit of a just like a stepping stone.
I find it really interesting too that they kind of came to you after you provided value. So that's kind of like I think that's something I take from this story that you guys are telling. Is like you guys reached out to say, like, do you want to be involved in this giveaway, right? You're providing value for them for no real benefit for yourselves, let's be honest, because it's a giveaway. Like, you don't get the tools, you're not getting the things. You're literally just providing a platform for this company to actually get exposure. So you're providing value there. And then, because you're able to give value, they saw you differently to someone that says, hey, sponsor me, I've got 1,000 million subscribers and blah blah blah, right? I think it's and it was a step process for you guys, obviously, because they wouldn't have approached you to do the Christmas videos if you hadn't started that 1,000 follower giveaway, for example. So I think it's really
for sure.
I think it's really, really smart to see that it's not just like we approached them and they said yes kind of a deal.
No, it's not at all. And it's I think it's almost, you've got to, I don't think what we're saying to people is don't go do giveaways and just approach every single company hoping you're going to end up with sponsorship, because it was like since that giveaway we also had small interactions with them. Like we did, we spoke to them at Maker Central, and I think I before we were anywhere near a sponsorship or anything like that, we were still buying. I think one of the tools we had with the pair of super jaws, I bought that from Maker Central, didn't we? So like that just gives you an opportunity to go up to them, like talk about, we legitimately like their tools and we like what they make. Can we buy these? Can you run us through them? Here's what we do and stuff like that. So that was an opportunity to talk to them. We also bought, I think, a thicknesser. The big thickness planer that we have, that was, we purchased that like a couple of months before we started the sponsorship, and that was I think we did a video, we made a toy box for my little boy, and we did this video where you've seen it before, where you put a camera or a GoPro on the end of the board running through the thickness planer, and then just before it gets chewed up by the knives, you take the camera off and put it on the other end, and it comes out so it looks like the camera's gone through the planer. And we did a shot like that, and then because we'd already had the relationship, they messaged us saying, can we use that clip in like send it out to our email list just to promote this tool. Didn't give us anything because we didn't necessarily get any more followers or anything from it, but we're basically building a brand, building a relationship with that brand by just talking about the fact that we actually generally like their tools. Not saying you have to just do loads of free stuff for brands, because I don't think that's necessarily how people get sponsorships either. It's about showing a genuine interest, being genuine in yourself and your channel, because they particularly, one of the things they actually said was how they like that we're quite genuine and we're very light-hearted, and we come across on our video, it comes across quite well like that. So that's something they actually commented on. So rather than just going out there and just spamming loads of companies. Just focus on making sure your content is solid, and then try and build relationships. That's how ours basically came about.
Yeah, and it's also a thing about because they said largely they were trying to move their brand identity a little bit. So I suppose it's trying to find a good fit between your channel and brands as well, because they're trying to move into quite a sort of I suppose quite like a young, not kind of fun, energetic, and they thought that we nicely matched that brand. So I suppose it's just quite a nice match in that sense. But it's kind of just, I suppose the takeout for us has just been to be quite open to opportunities, because not all opportunities come in as an email from a big brand saying, hey, do you want to be sponsored by us? Here's £1 gajillion. A lot of the time it's like there's a saying about like all deals are made on the golf course. It's kind of a similar takeout, that like just planting the seeds and trying to set them all out, because whether that was just the fact that we did that one post or one giveaway with them, that meant it built into things. So they came to the workshop, we all sat around the workbench and had pizza together. Do you know what I mean? You start to just build those relationships. So it's things that are slow burners. So we talk to a lot of companies now, and sometimes it's just people saying, oh, can you make this and do a review of our product? And we're a bit like, that doesn't really fit with what we like to do. We don't like to do product reviews. Not that they're bad, but that's just our preference. We don't do product reviews. So naturally that doesn't fit with what we're going for. But every now and then we have a few brands that we sort of talk to, and it's just like slow, like we'll do little bits for them, they do little bits for us as well. So it's it's not every time they sort of come to us, and we don't. It's a weird balance of striking that you don't want to be seen as someone who's doing everything for free. That you want to look like you are, you're genuinely doing something nice, and you're trying to give them something, and in return you get something back, and it's just that kind of balance, really.
We're trying to be quite selective about brands we work with as well. It's like which brands are looking for just a one and done. Here's a video, review our product, and we'll go. And like we said, we don't want to do that anyway. But we want to connect with brands that actually we believe in, and we think that their philosophy or whatever is good, and they produce actually quality products. And it's not just looking for a quick, here's a YouTube video, here's a few £100, can you review it for us? Because we're not really interested in just boosting brands that we don't really believe in. So we're trying to be quite selective, and not everyone has that opportunity, because when you're growing slowly, you have to obviously you're not necessarily going to be selective. And we're at the point where we're getting a couple of brands now contact us, so we can kind of say yes to one and no to the other. We're trying to be a bit more selective with it. And I think the other thing that Triton's given us that opportunity, because we've built with them. We've been able to have that opportunity where we've grown a little bit now, and we can say no to people that we don't believe in, which is something that we're definitely going to keep doing.
And does that come from ethos, like your channel ethos? Because like that's what it seems like to me. So you choose what brands work for you because they fit you guys, right?
They do, yeah. It's because admittedly, recently we'll get onto our sort of in terms of where we're trying to push ourselves to, but it's a combination of ethos. We want to work with companies that we think they're good companies. A lot of the time we want to work with like Matt said, just companies that we actually believe in their product. It just feels super transparent if someone's like, oh look, sweet new nails. I don't care about your nails. Like, we're trying to do stuff that we actually are interested in, and products that we'd use. So the other day we had someone get in contact with us saying that they wanted to send us some shoes. Can we do a product review? And we're like, we don't really do product reviews. And then so they sort of came back to us saying, okay, well, can you feature them in that, have a certain amount of time, feature them in the video, and we'll put you on an affiliate program. So affiliate program sort of when you have your own, and you have your own code, and if people buy it through that code. And we've said admittedly, so this is I love this kind of stuff, just kind of like my branding marketing job bit. But because people aren't, for me, I don't think they work very well. It works well for the brand because they get a lot of promotion from it. But a lot of the time when people are watching your video, they're not in market for that product. So in this case, there's not a lot of people who happen to watch our video on an HDPE pen and they're in the market for some workshop shoes. But so luckily it works out for the brand because they've just had some essentially free promotion. But admittedly, you're not going to get more than one or two people buying it through that because you just won't. It's more of a brand awareness thing. So people will be, they start to get more aware of that brand if it pops up in your videos. And then when they are in market for that, they can just buy it through their website. They're not going to go back to our video to get 5% off the shoes. So we've kind of said we don't really like to do affiliate programs. But what's that website, Matt? There's something that can give you it. Basically, it costs up based on your subscriber base and your reach and everything. It costs up how much you should be charging for like an Instagram post.
Social Blue Book, I think it's called.
Social Blue Book. Check that out because that's kind of what we use now. So we kind of just said that we want a straight fee. We don't mind. We've got to deal with some people where we've said it'll be this if it gets this amount of views, or this if it's this up to 5,000 views and this over 5,000 views. But yeah, so Social Blue Book, check that out, and that's quite a nice way of sort of gauging value. So because then you set a set fee, and it's just a lot easier. You're not doing this bloody affiliate thing where I'm sending off a 5% or I get 5p for every.
What I found really funny about the email that John, and I can't actually remember the name. I'd never heard of the company before. We should have saved this for story time, but I'm going to say it anyway. But yeah, this company was like, oh yeah, can you do this review? And we said no, and then they said, can you do this? And we were like, no. And then we basically said, they sent us another email saying, well, what about this, this, and this? And we basically tried to give them like a bit of a go away price, like we'll do it for this much, but we don't really want to do it. So pretty much sure they're going to say no. And then they basically come back to us and said, no, we want you to do it for free. Your engagement isn't very good anyway on your channel. And we're like, well, hold on, if our engagement isn't very good, why you want to work with us? Like we said, well, we've got look, these are our stats, here's our stats, what's wrong with those? Just for this, we basically decided we weren't going to work with these people at this point. And they were like, well, yeah, it's not all about that, it's about this, it's about this. And we were like, yeah, okay, you can't insult us and then expect us to work with you. Like, that's just not how it works. So we were just like, thank you, but no.
It's wounded ego. It sounds like wounded ego.
Exactly that.
They were like, they tried to get you in to do something and you kept on saying no, and then they're like, well, I'm a child and I'll turn around and I'll tell you that you stink,
yeah, exactly.
There are some good opportunities in that, and the thing that I sort of wanted to get across is like 95% of the interactions that we have with brands, they're not sponsorship opportunities. It's not like it doesn't really happen like that all these brands come in. Many brands want content creators to make a video for them, but that's what I think it's good to be open to, because like with our Triton thing, that's what we did. And then it's once you've done a few videos with them and say they get, I don't know, so as a random brand, they get in contact with you, you do a video with them, it gets good reach, but that then opens the platform to potential future opportunities about like sponsorship and things like that. So I think it's really good to be open to those opportunities. Just ignore the ones that insult you about your reach.
Yeah. And find a balance. Like, don't be open to ones with brands that you believe in. Don't just say yes because you think it will get you this, or you'll get that. Any company will send you a free whatever to do a review on it. But at the end of the day, that free thing isn't going to pay your bills or feed your kids. So if you believe in the product and you feel like that's a stepping stone to start a relationship, then great. But if it's just like, oh, here's a free whatever sander, then find out what the value is for you, and is that true to what you actually believe in, where you want to be.
Yeah, because that's touching what I was started on, your ethos, what you guys believe in. Yeah. And I thought I would touch a little bit on that, because I've seen you guys doing some charity work and use a lot of HDPE, and that seems like you guys have like a bit of an ethos, like an environmental ethos, charity.
Yeah, for
sure. Do you have an ethos?
Yeah, and I think it's a difficult word to use, because I think when you see people or brands or whatever, and they're like, oh, this is my ethos, and you're like, well, hold on, should I have an ethos? Like, what's my ethos? And it's like, we want to come at this saying we haven't been like, let's start a YouTube channel, this is our ethos. Like, we never knew that. We literally decided this probably in the last 6 months. And it's a combination of everything we do. Like, obviously a lot of the work we do recently has been with recycled plastic. And a lot of the work we've been, the charity event that we did recently, we did a charity event called Makers for Justice, where we brought a load of makers together to raise money for a social justice cause, which we chose, the Innocence Project. And we raised £2,500. We spent about 3 or 4 weeks just kind of trying to raise awareness and raise money. And all of these kind of come down to, we're trying to like basically keep our channel steering in the same direction, where we're trying to do this whole like making for good. And we're trying to make sure that, the things that we do are wholesome and they're beneficial to just more than ourselves. So whether that be like an environmental thing, or whether that be physically raising money for people or doing things for other people, we're just trying to as a teacher, I have to teach a lot about kind of sustainability. I teach design technology, so I have to teach about sustainability. I have to teach about caring for the environment and things like that. So from that, I kind of want to be a role model, so that if these students are like, well, hold on, I actually got called out by a student a few years ago, and they were talking, and I was talking about single-use plastic. We were talking about the Great Pacific Garbage Patch, which is this huge floating patch of plastic in the middle of the ocean, the size of an island. And they called me out and they said, well, hold on, you're drinking out of a single-use plastic water bottle, which I was at the time. And it was on my desk. And it kind of was like, well, these kids are super perceptive, and they pick up on so many things. Like you could say one thing, but it's actually not what you say, it's what you do. That they reciprocate. And with two young kids as well, I want to show that actually, you don't have to be like a green tree hugging warrior to care about the planet, but you can do bits in your way. So we're just trying to adjust the way I do it. So now I get my students involved at my current school. I've been getting students involved in recycling schemes, so they collect plastic. The actual HDP projects came about from a project that I did with some students at school. It's some year 12 students. These girls were about 16, 17. And we made some pens just because we thought it'd be a fun thing to do, and I learned with them along the process. And that was where the pen. And then we basically said, we'd have a chat, and we said, we could make a video on this. Don't know if it'd be that interesting. And that turned into the video, which kind of took off a little bit for us, and it did really well. And that's why we're kind of steering towards the HTP, because a lot of people, it's a very thing. It's a thing that people are talking about a lot at the moment. Sustainability and plastic pollution and stuff like that. And we really enjoy doing it. It's great fun. It's fun to come up with something which is new and not been done before, and it's exciting, and it's testing as we go along. We don't have to like go and watch a tutorial on how to make something, because these things haven't necessarily been done that much. Our ethos is really just do things which you think are good and going to benefit people other than just yourself or your YouTube subscriber number or whatever.
And what do you think about that, Jonny?
Yeah, it's kind of it's tricky because it's with our small amount of influence we have. It just feels nice to be able to do something for Matt and I anyway, because we were chatting about this whole making good thing this is literally like 2 weeks ago. We were floating down a river on a paddleboard. We were just chatting for it, and we threw out that term, which we sort of resonated with us a little bit. And it just seems like, even for selfish reasons, like it just feels, even if you're just, if on a very minor scale, but you're technically saving the world by getting one person to recycle. I'm not Superman. I'm getting one person to put a milk cap, in the right bin. Then you're technically, on some degree, saving the world. So for me, that sounds cool. And it's just nice to be able to, like, when we see people, I don't know, when it's just awesome for the YouTube comments and stuff like that, or interaction you get with people, and they're like, oh, I've started doing this, or we have people send us bags of milk bottles now, and like before they saw that video, maybe they didn't. So it's just little things like that. And I think it's just important that, well, we do have this, it's not a huge platform to be able to talk to people, but a small platform that we do speak to some people on. I think it's important to try and, do some sort of good with it. If you have an opportunity to either do nothing or do something good, you might as well do something good. Why not?
Yeah, and do you guys find that, like, since you're on these paddle boards, they're dreaming up an ethos, like, I think we'll be makers for good. Yeah,
it sounds so romantic when you say it like that.
It does, doesn't it? Out in the wilderness, like, yeah. But I mean, I feel like it's something that's really kind of really cool, because I kind of have a little similar ethos. Like, if it wasn't for this sofa beer fridge project, majority of the stuff I build is from the trash. Like, I just find things in the trash and I pull them out, I modify them, cut them up, do whatever, melt them down, whatever. And that's majority of the work I do when I'm not building this stupid, overcomplicated, annoying pain in my ass sofa beer fridge. And And so I think the more people that have a solid direction also gives you, let's just say, when you decide to do a project, it's a lot easier to decide how to do a project because you already have this kind of like, does it fit, our ethos? Does it fit our measurements of what this project should be, like what a project should be? And I think that's great.
We also, with our HDPE work, we've been following the precious plastic community a lot. I don't know if anyone is aware of who they are, but Precious Plastic are a team of people that are putting together kind of open source plans to large scale recycling, but at home rather than kind of recycling companies. And one of their, I don't know if it's an ethos, but one of their main kind of driving factors is the fact that knowledge should be open source and knowledge should be free to be shared. And we really believe that. And we get a lot of comments. And even yesterday we were getting Instagram messages from somebody in India who was trying to recycle plastic, and she was having a few issues, and do I do this, and we believe that if we've learned something through a couple of years of working with HDPE, then what good is that if we just keep that to ourselves just for the sake of building a YouTube channel? Like that's no good. It's to use a phrase which I think Brett from Skull and Spade uses, high tides raise all ships. And if one person's doing good, then a lot of people do good. Like if somebody releases a YouTube video about making an HDPE whatever and it does really well, then that's not going to take views away from us. That's not going to take any performance away from our video. If anything, if that does really well, it will help everyone else's videos that are doing a similar thing. So I don't think that saying, oh, here's something I've learned, but I'm not going to tell you, you've got to learn it out for yourself. Another story which we could have kept for story time is that we when I was first making the pens with my students, I was experimenting with different ways to get the brass tubes to glue into the pens, because you can't use any type of glue with HDPE as it's too slick. Typically with a wooden pen you would epoxy the brass tube into the blank, and I'd experimented a few different ways, and we ended up coming up with this like compression fit where you just basically drill an undersized hole and force it in. And I messaged a guy on Instagram who had been making HDPE pens, and I saw a few on his feed, and I said, hey, really like your stuff. Is there, I don't know if you've how you found the process, but here's what we found when doing these pens. This is what works for us. Have you found a better way? And we got this very blunt response back saying, I've been doing this for 2 years. I am not willing to share any of my knowledge with you because I've found it all myself, and I don't want to give you the information for free. And I'm like, okay. And then he blocked and deleted us. So just
what a dick.
Yeah. And I was like, what good is that for you? Like, yeah, sure. You're not going to sell any less pens by sharing that information. Like, I don't even know if he was selling the pens, but it's no benefit. Like you're going to benefit. The benefit for other people is massive, and the benefit to you is so negligible by keeping that information to yourself. So yeah, I don't know. I thought that was a very strange way, and we very much believe that if you've learned something, tell people about it, show people how to do it, and let people have a go. It's basically what our whole YouTube channel is, trying to inspire people to have a go at doing something they might not have done before.
I don't understand people that don't want to share. Like I get it because they live in a world of fear, and they do. Like that's why they don't want to share, because they think that they've built something and someone's going to steal it. Whereas like my wife, she's very good at saying like we live in a world of abundance, and
absolutely.
And it's actually what I said the other day on another podcast. Like, if someone wants to start a podcast doing exactly what I'm doing right now, talking to the not so known people or even known people, I don't care. Do it. I'll help you, because I mean, we live in an abundant world. There's so many people that would love to have a chance to be featured on a podcast that don't get that opportunity. So the more podcasts out there, the better. And it's the same with the HDPE. Like, why not share the information?
Absolutely.
I was about to call it. I was about to call it.
It's just,
So-
You've done very well.
PDFO. I was just about to say, because on our just so anyone who's listening, and on our pre-podcast, Justin referred to HTTP about 14 times and did not once get it correctly.
PTFE,
Like
I think you said everything.
PDFE, yeah, PDFE.
Every acronym going apart from the right one.
Yeah.
What is PDFE? I don't even know.
It's another. I think it's another type of plastic.
Is it another? I'm glad it is, because otherwise
maybe I don't, or a glue. Maybe I don't know for sure. We Google it later.
All right, lads, let's get into story time.
Story time. She stared at the gown and thought, yes, this is something my husband would wear.
Have you got a story to spin? Tell us.
We were trying to think of ones that were like a joint story. So we had sort of like, we've gone through a few. Matt said we weren't allowed to say a few of them. So the one where we sort of like settled on. Yeah, the one we settled on. He's vetoed all the ones where he comes off badly, and now it's the one obviously that I come off badly.
Jonny, you're like 4 in this story, so it can't really.
Jonny, tell the story. Tell the one that he vetoed.
I'll tell you another time.
This is recording. He can't take it back. So.
No, so the one we were actually going to say was basically when I was probably about, I think I was about 4, so Matt would have been 8. And all through childhood, I just followed Matt around, and he was like the one who knew. He was like the oracle, and he just knew everything about everything.
Still am.
I remember when he told me, this isn't it, but I remember he told me he knew how to do the most powerful kick in the entire world, and it would kill me in one strike. So he used to like basically tap his toe like 5 times, and then he'd like skip and kick me. So as soon as I'd get annoyed, he'd start like tapping his toe and then chase me, and I'd be like, no! And just sprint out. So he had this ultimate power of the kick. But
it was a good kick.
Tangent. So yeah, I used to like just do whatever he said. But I remember I was going. Mum was like, it was a Sunday night, and Mum was like, oh, it's bath time. I was like, oh, I don't want to do a bath. So Mum like ran the bath and left. And she was like, I was like, just confided in my big brother who I could trust in. I was like, Matt, I really don't want a bath. I wanted to like, keep playing Nintendo or something like that. And he was like, well, John, I've managed to find a secret into how to not have to do baths anymore. And I've not had to have a bath in a week because of this secret I found out. And I was like, Matt, you must tell me how this secret you know. Because I basically just when Mum's out the room now, the bath's running, just sit on the edge and have a poo in the bath. And then that way, when she comes back, we'll be fine. You won't have to do it. She'll be like, oh, the bath's ruined. I was like, okay, Matt. So I pull down my little pants and sit on the edge, pop my bum over the bath and poo in the bath. And then Mum comes back in the room with me looking all proud of myself next to this horrible bath. And Matt are there just crying. And she was like, oh, John, what have you done? She's like, right. And she got this blue cup that was forever known as the poo cup after that.
Poo cup, yeah.
Scooped them out, threw them in the toilet. She was like, get in. I was like, what? She was like, yeah, just jump in. We're not wasting all that water. So I had to get in my poo bath. So yeah, that was... Bastard.
I'm more. I don't know who I'm more like astounded at. Jonny for actually shitting in his own bath, or Matt for telling him to do it.
Yeah, I was so trusting. Matt was just so convincing. He was like, "Trust me, I haven't had to have a bath in ages." And I was like, "Okay, Matt, got it." So yeah, that still haunts me.
So like, I'm just kind of thinking like Matt's like the Jedi, and you're like the Jedi apprentice, and he's like,
yes,
to be one with the bath, you must shit in the bath.
So, yeah,
get that on a t-shirt.
Yeah. So sorry to bring down the level of the podcast with a poo story, but
I don't think it was ever higher than that, really, was it?
Oh my god! Come on, there has to be a story where Matt's the victim here. Like,
Matt, I can't think of anyone's a Matt the victim.
It's the benefit of being the older brother.
Yeah, who just set me up.
I love the fact that you guys have a rivalry. Does this have like problems in the workshop together when you're working together, or is it like all in good fun?
Nah, it's usually pretty. It's usually pretty good fun. I'm typically the grumpy one, and John's usually the let's make a game out of everything one. So yeah, if I'm in a bit of a stressed out, this project's not going to plan mode, and Johnny's like, yes, I do this. I'm like, it's not going to work, John. Shut up.
It kind of works though, because it's a sort of good balance of I'm probably too optimistic and think everything will be fine, so nothing would ever get done. Matt's probably too grumpy, so nothing would ever get done. Like, so he wouldn't get done because he'd get too annoyed at everything and do it 1,000 times. So between us, we strike this nice middle balance of we manage to get things done, but we also enjoy ourselves.
Has there ever been like a stage where you just like you're ready to deuce it out? Like, let's go outside. Let's like let's rumble. Let's do this. Let's just get this out. Like
to the garden, beat each other up.
You're being a dick. No, you're being a dick. Let's.
The biggest thing that would cause a fight is who gets the most chicken from the barbecue. That's probably that's the biggest.
That's just the most.
That sounds like my family.
It probably would be a food thing.
Johnny's very protective over his food.
Yeah, because my brother, he brought home a giant bucket of KFC chicken. When he was I don't know, maybe 18 or 19, and we're younger lads, right? He's so stupid, he put it in the fridge. And then we come in the morning and we're like, fucking KFC chicken. Mum never buys this shit ever. So, like, us three, the other boys, like, we just fucking hoed into it and finished the whole bucket, right? And he came out and, oh my God, he was hungover and furious. Absolutely furious. There was dining tables being flipped, and it was chaos.
That's amazing.
Wow.
So good. Yeah, it's that kind of. That's probably that. Surprisingly enough, having like two guys in the workshop every Monday, we really don't argue. We'll sort of like debate stuff out and sort of keep. And we're both quite stubborn, so we're sort of like, but we don't get that angry. So we'll both like sort of politely keep repeating our point over and over and over and over again, until one of us just like will get bored.
To be fair though, some of those points that we have debated more have resulted in the outcome of it has actually been quite good, because we've had to compromise, and the compromise has been quite good.
I think that's usually it, 'cause we both got a fair point. It's because we're both right. That's the thing. That's all we can take out from this. But yeah, no, we don't really argue. We like I said, Matt. I love watching. I love it when we're editing together and we watch ourselves back, because even like now we're like 20s and 30s, Matt's still like the bossy older brother with me, and I'm okay with it because I'm very used to it. But Matt's never had to watch himself back doing it, like through all his 30 whatever years. He's never known what he's like. So we'll be watching stuff back. He's like, "Am I actually saying that?" He's like, "John, hold this." And I get just raised, because I don't really respond to it because I'm so used to it, and it's fine. He's not doing it from being he's just the way he is. So, but it's fine.
Bit of a dick.
I love watching it back because you're like, I'm such an arsehole sometimes. But I'm annoying most of the time as well. So we both have our downside.
Well, being that none of you guys are so inspiring for each other, I thought that was the worst segue ever to go into Inspiration Nation. Yeah. Inspiration Nation.
Seamless.
Very, very.
Is there any everyday creative heroes that inspire you guys?
So we were talking about this as well, because we were trying to kind of think who we could come up with, and it's not. I wouldn't say necessarily they're a creative hero, but certainly someone that inspires. My kind of outlook is that I really don't like watching the news. My friends get quite irritated with me because they said, how can you keep up with stuff? How do you know about things? And I just said, the news is so unbelievably negative. I don't need to turn on the TV and find out about 3 people being stabbed here, and this person's done this, and this person's in prison for it. Like, I don't need that. Like, I understand how it's important to know about things that's happening, but I just don't need all that negativity. And also, I don't like the fact that you can never really tell if it's all been curated, isn't it, by people who are trying to sell stories in the end. So I really don't like listening or watching or reading the news. But the one thing I do like getting news from is an Instagram page called The Happy Broadcast. There's a few of them, but the Happy Broadcast is one of the ones I follow a lot. And the Happy Broadcast is basically, even in times like the COVID pandemic, obviously all the social injustice marches and rallies and riots and stuff that's happened in America, they're taking all of these stories that you basically just get squashed in those media bursts of here's everything that you need to know about the worst things in the world, and they basically find the good in everything. They find the good stories, and they tell you all of it, and it's a really manageable amount of news to take. It's kind of really uplifting to know that in all this time that all these crazy things are happening, that there is still good in the world. That sounds like a Lord of the Rings quote, doesn't it?
Nice.
But it's just something that I believe in. I feel like if you're going to watch the news, I feel like you need both sides of the story. And I think traditional news, you never get that. It's very rare you see a positive story. Sometimes it's like tacked on at the end. It's like, oh, and this happened. But yeah, I wouldn't say it's necessarily creative, but it certainly inspires me to be like, for example, I saw on the Happy Broadcast posted a couple of weeks into the COVID pandemic, and they were talking about how, everything's pretty rubbish right now, but actually look at this and look at how much less polluted the world is right now, because people aren't driving anywhere and people aren't in all these amazing areas ruining, beaches and stuff like that. So have a look at, and they show pictures, and that's to me inspiring, because they're showing you actually, well, the world is literally getting better, maybe only temporarily, but that's quite, in terms of what we're about, our sustainability focus and stuff, I felt like it's quite an inspiring thing to do. And people going up and voluntarily picking up litter on the beaches and stuff, they just tell the stories that I want to see, and not the stories that people are forcing you to see.
I'm 100% with you with not watching the news. Like, I watch what I need to, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
Like,
Mhm.
okay,
Yeah.
like I'll get feed information on my phone. I'll maybe look at once a week just to see if there's like something super important. And the thing is too, if it's really important, like a COVID, pandemic, you don't need the news to find out that information. It comes
No, you're hearing about it.
every channel imaginable. So, I mean, realistically, like, does it make your life better knowing all the horrible things that are going on in the world? No. Can you prevent them and stop them? No. So, filling your mind with positivity rather than negativity is only beneficial for yourself. So
Absolutely. There's so many times I can't think. I've been driving home or driving to work, and you turn on the radio and the 8 o'clock news comes on, and it's all these just hideous things in the world, which I get that it's important to know some of them, but I just can't be dealing with that. Like, I've had potentially a stressful day at work, or I've had maybe even a positive day at work where I've been teaching all these students and having really nice interactions, and then I'm on the way home to see my family, and I'm just like, my mind is getting blasted with all this terrible thing, and I'm just like, look, if I need to find that out, I will find that out. But right now, I either just drive with nothing, or I put a podcast on, or I don't. If I find a channel, a radio station with that plays news, and then they all tend to play news at the same time, I cycle through and find one that doesn't, or just put a podcast on, because I can't be dealing with that.
What about you, Jonny? Any inspiring people?
We kind of did that one. We were sort of chatting earlier, and that was kind of our joint thing that we came up with.
We came with a couple, didn't we?
There was a few. Yeah, it's that kind of thing. It was like the precious plastic, those kind of ones that are just. Yeah, I think it's just nice to be anything that's sort of promoting things that are good. Like Matt said, kind of just jumping on the back of that the happy news one. Really, I think it's just nice to, from a sort of put yourself in a positive mental state. It's just good to hear positive things and positive spins on stuff. I think from our point of view, when you see some good do it, whether it's like Matt said, the example of like lack of pollution, but then you see the effect it has when something actually changes. So for us, it encourages us to do more of those kind of projects. So now, because I don't know, because it's the whole like the pollution, but now we're focusing most of our projects around sort of recycled and sustainable materials. So even though they're not directly linked to making, we're very much, it really affects what we do in the workshop.
Yeah.
Sort of indirectly, but it does have a good big effect on it. So I think for me, it's a similar kind of thing, really.
Okay, cool, man. I agree. Like I said, so it's awesome. Let's go into random question. Are you guys ready?
Yeah, I'm excited.
As ready as we'll be. As ready as you can be for this kind of segment.
All right. So I explained in my last episode that I'm going to try and choose a question which has an answer, and it's mildly related to the country you live in.
Mildly.
Okay. So the question, here we go. Which is the only town in England with a name ending in an exclamation mark?
Westwood Ho.
Oh, you got it!
How? Yeah.
How'd you know that?
That's my surf spot. I go surfing there like a few times a year. And it's like 3 hours from us. And I spoke to my girlfriend about it the other day. And I said, oh, Westwood Ho, it's such a good name with an exclamation mark. Literally about 3 days ago.
Has it got an exclamation mark on the end, is it?
Yeah, Westwood Ho.
That's amazing.
That is, why? I don't know, but it's awesome.
Yeah, so good. I'm really happy with that question. I was worried about that one. I'm rubbish, that kind of thing.
God damn
Solid.
it. I was hoping...
You're challenging your dumber from the intro, aren't you, John?
Yeah.
How is the surf there anyway? Is it right?
Really good, yeah. It's that whole section. It's got like Croyd's, and it's a really nice section of part of the country to surf, really. So there's a few of us who we tend to go up there a few times a year. But yeah, I love it. Wicked.
Cool. All right, let's get into Hack Attack.
This is Hack Attack!
I will not apologize for this bad intro. Any tips or tricks?
So we were again thinking about this one as well, and we're trying to. I think we've done we've mentioned before on other podcasts and other various other things, little tips and tricks. So we're trying to think of one that's related to kind of more of a YouTube type thing for people that are trying to grow a channel. And one that we found recently, actually, it was like 1 or 2 videos ago. I've done a lot of research into like upload times and upload things like that. And we've when is best for videos to be uploaded. And in the long term, it doesn't really matter, because if you've got a high performing video, it doesn't really matter. But if you want to try and maximize your initial output, then it's on the time you upload can be quite important. So there's loads of tools you can pay for that will give you that, but we tend to not want to do that. So we've recently found on YouTube homepage, they've redone YouTube Studio has been rejigged around a little bit, and they had a feature which I'd never seen before, which was all about the upload time. So if you go to the homepage of your Creative Studio, or YouTube Studio as it's called, it tells you when your subscribers on your channel are watching your videos most often. So we always uploaded at like Saturdays. I think we always try to do, not every Saturday because we can't do videos that often, but every couple of weeks we'll do a Saturday upload. And actually we found that Sundays are way higher for traffic on Sunday afternoons. So we started uploading now on Sunday afternoons, and not necessarily saying that it's not something you're going to tangibly be able to be like, yes, this is absolutely making a difference. But as we, if we believe that if you're trying to do something, you give it your all. We try to make the best content we can, the most interesting project we can, the best edit we can. Then give it the best chance of people being able to see it, so that if you want people to learn and be inspired, then that's how people are going to be inspired, and more people seeing it is going to be good. So if you go to the homepage of YouTube Studio, then you'll find, it should tell you. I don't know if there are requirements. I don't know if you need a certain number of subs. Just
on desktop, isn't it? I think
it's on desktop. Yeah, so you can't see it on mobile, unfortunately. But if you go on desktop, it should be there, and it will tell you certain days, and it will give you, it's like a coloured chart hour by hour for each day about which. When your video should go live. I can try and find you a link. I haven't got my laptop with me, but I can try and find you a link if you need one.
All right. So actually, I had a bit of a tip too for YouTube, which I learned a couple of weeks back, which I didn't know. So you can go onto YouTube and then find a video that you think rates really highly in your whatever you call it category. And then what you can do is you can left click and click page source, view page source, and then press Control F and type in keyword or keywords. And then go down, you can see all the keywords they used for that particular video.
Nice.
And
That's
so
cool.
you can copy and paste them and put them straight into your
There's a
videos.
plugin that will do that as well. If you guys use Chrome, there's a plugin. I can't remember what it's called, but if you type in YouTube keywords, it will basically, because YouTube they used to show keywords for every video, like tags and stuff, but if you they don't show it now. But if you have a plugin, you can plug that into your Chrome browser, and then that will show you the keywords at the bottom underneath every video. So typically when we're doing an HTTP upload or any video upload, doesn't specifically have to be that, we look at tags and other tags for popular videos that are doing similar things, and then try and use some of those, just because you're trying to give it the best chance of doing well. So good tip.
I suppose if you're, let's try to think, I've got, as you've both given one, the other one I've been doing recently is because we're always like an advocate of make what you want to make, not just what you think people want to see. But at the same time, it is a balancing act, because you obviously, if you're trying to make a successful channel, you do need to be making some stuff you think people want to see it, as well as it being something you enjoy making. But to give us some ideas, because a lot of our projects are just made out of recycled plastic, we're trying to look at ideas of what to make with that recycled plastic. So I've been using called Google Trends. And then if you go, so just Google the word trends, it will come up. And you can search, like if you could search either DIY or anything basically, or like wooden, in our case. And then it will tell you what like the highest search terms are around that sort of sector, or around that that term. So when we're looking for, basically a lot of time for our HTTP projects, we're trying to recreate projects that haven't been made in HTTP, but they're really popular elsewhere. So I'd search the topic of DIY, and then I can see that things like, I remember our stool video, something that was really popular was like stools and tables. So then we've made a plastic version, which hasn't been done, out of that thing that's really popular. So it's just quite a nice way, if you're running out of ideas sometimes, of generating new ideas for content that potentially that people are looking for, basically.
That's awesome. Yeah. Good tips, boys. Good tips. Right. Let's wrap it up. Anything you want to leave the audience with before we get out of here?
So I try and keep this as brief as I can, because sometimes can end up as a long story. But I was recently asked to do at school a careers talk to some sixth form students, which are 17, 18-year-olds. And the careers advisor said that because I had so many different career avenues, which I think means that because I changed my mind so many times, could you give some of that information back to the year 12s? And I basically spoke about, I was trying to be quite honest and open. I think you get a lot of people come to these events just telling them about their company, which they don't really find interesting. So I was trying to be quite open with everything, and say how I decided to change my career for various reasons. I very briefly mentioned medical history earlier. I don't want to go on a long story about it, but basically I had, at the end of my final year of uni, I was diagnosed with cancer in my second to last year. So I had to go through that, and then that's completely fine now, total remission. But also had things like pneumonia, and the reference to the Bionicle Man of Bournemouth that you made at the start of the podcast was I have both my hips are artificial titanium hips as a result of all that stuff. So all of these little things are the reason why I'm having to self-isolate in the COVID pandemic. But I basically said this to my students, and I said, look, this is what I had. And I was coming out of the end of an architecture degree. And admittedly, at the initial time of it, I was probably doing a lot of the reasons I wanted to do architecture was, it's very creative and exciting, and I love the subject, but it was possibly because, trying to find a little bit of that recognition, or trying to find a bit of, trying to impress other people with the career you've got. Not necessarily money in a sense, it could be that as well, but trying to impress people with something. And it kind of took this pretty hefty life-altering situation for me to be like, right, give yourself a bit of perspective, bring you back down to earth a little bit, and saying what actually makes you happy. And that is the reason why I'm a teacher, because it's kind of all about why we do YouTube, trying to inspire people, trying to make people want to be makers. And I love doing that in my job. And I think in a way, it's almost a bit of a shame that it took something as big as that to give me that perspective. So in my careers talk to my students, my title on the slide was perspective. And I just said, look, here's my story. I'm not telling you to go out and be YouTubers, but I'm trying to say, try and learn from other people's experiences, and hopefully that gives you a bit of perspective for your own scenario. So maybe don't just chase the thing that you think other people will be impressed by. Chase something that really will make you happy as an individual, because at the end of the day, you're going to have to do this for your whole life. So sitting behind a desk for 10 hours a day, if that's impressive to some people and that's important to you, fine. But to me, that it really wasn't.
That's gold, man. That's the way I live and breathe now.
For sure.
If I think about what I've done in the past, I'm not doing anything like what I'm doing now. And that's none of that stuff I did previously really made me.
Feels like a different lifetime, right?
Yeah, it was. And I think, I'm still young. I'm 35, and I've got plenty of time to go to work out exactly where I'm going and what I'm doing exactly. But all I know is I'm on the right path because it fits me, and I'm happier than I've ever been.
I tell my students sometimes that because at 16 in the UK, you're supposed to, 15, you're supposed to be able to make decisions about what you're going to be doing for the rest of your life. And I said to them, like, this whole notion that a single career is so archaic. Like, people don't do that. Like, you don't become a miner for your whole life, or you don't go and work in this place that's your job for your whole life. Like, I've changed my mind like 4 times now. And if they say to me, if I I have, as a teacher, you have to have tutor groups and things. And my students in my tutor group, they're like, well, I don't know what to do. I'm like, good. Like, it's good that that's a healthy thing to do, especially at 16, 17, 18 years old. If you know what you want to do, I'd almost be like, well, have you explored everything else? Like, you haven't got the experience there where you know everything yet. So, they asked me, I said, I don't know what I'm going to be doing in 5 or 10 years from now. I don't necessarily think I'm going to be a teacher for my whole life. I don't really want to be a teacher for my whole life. I want to do something that's going to continue to inspire me. At the moment, teaching inspires me a lot. But if it stops doing that, I don't want to do it just because of, I'm stuck there. I want to be able to be free to explore other things. So, yeah, I think it's mad that you have to, students at that age have to know or should know what they want to do. I'm just like, yeah, just do what makes you happy. Take the best subjects that give you the best options later on. But don't be so strict to have to follow them. Don't say, I have to do this because I took these subjects. Just, do what makes you happy. And I know that sounds a little bit fluffy, but, I just feel like it's, don't worry if you don't know what you want to do, because I don't. And I'm very, very happy with how my life is right now. And that's in the middle of a worldwide pandemic, which could be quite serious if I was to catch it. So, I'm super happy with how that works, and that's, and I'm making probably the least money I've made in the last 5 years. But it's literally, that couldn't be less important to me right now, because it's, I've got two amazing children. I work with my brother 1 day a week. I'm living a great life right now, and money doesn't matter. I've got enough to what I need to do, and I'm having fun. So money
doesn't equal happiness, right?
Absolutely not.
Yeah, it's hugely more important than that monetary value and things like that. And if you I always figured that you have to be doing like one thing. That was my big thing. I always thought like, okay, well, when I was doing sort of the whole music thing at uni, I was like, okay, well, I want to do that. I want to do music, and that's all I can do. And I'm like, weeks are long. You have a lot of time to do stuff. Just if you can do everything. If you're interested in 2 different careers, see if you can do some of them part time. Like, I like doing making. I like doing advertising. Do a bit of if you don't ask the question, I just figured it wouldn't be a possibility. But then, I asked work, they have some time off, and now I do a bit of both. So, just ask.
Best of both worlds.
Exactly. And rather it seemed like an unachievable thing, just ask and make it work. People are flexible. It can work out.
Awesome, guys. Where can people find you?
So we're at Brothers Make on YouTube and Instagram mainly. Brothers Make on Patreon if you guys are interested. Also on Pinterest. Don't know what else really, but yeah, YouTube and Instagram are our main 2 socials. Instagram for daily, YouTube every week or 2 we put a video up.
Awesome. I will put all the links just in case people don't know who you are, but I reckon a majority of my listeners do. So I want to say thank you for coming on, boys. It's been an absolute pleasure to get to know you,
awesome,
and to do 3 separate Zoom calls, because it wouldn't allow me to do a longer than 40-minute group call. But yeah.
We got that.
Thanks so much for having us, man.
No. Thanks also for everyone for listening. Before you go and DM the boys and say that Matt is the better looking one, be sure.
If you're going to go with facts, then, we're going to get a lot of DMs, aren't we?
Be sure to tell a friend about the podcast, guys. It would mean the world to my guests and, of course, myself. If you want to be one of the cool kids, you can join the GA Nation by heading over to Patreon. Otherwise, you can support the show just as much by hosting an escape room event where your guests are stuck listening to this podcast, waiting to hear the clue behind the picture frame. Or by making a viral video on TikTok with a Make Ideas reality dance, whatever the hell that looks like.
I want to see you do that.
If you want to give me some feedback on the show, or you want to tell someone how better looking I am than Jonny and Matt, you can send your
Jonny
DMs.
first.
You can send your DMs to @GarageAvenger on Instagram. Don't be shy. Please go check out the boys at Brothers Make. The links are in the show notes. Until next time, keep pushing yourselves, keep ballsing up things, keep learning, get inspired, and I'll catch you on the flip side.
Cheers, dude.
See ya.